Well, welcome to another episode of A Quick Brew, David.
Welcome, James.
We need to do the cheers, don't we? Oh,
We do need to do the cheers.
I've gone with orange juice today. Cheers. Whew.
Cheers, James.
Cheers.
Nothing unusual there at all.
No, all perfectly normal.
And perfect for our audio-only listeners as well.
Well, I decided that as Martyn set the pace is coming on today, that we would I'd do the show on an exercise bike.
The whole show.
No, I'll probably last about another 30 seconds, and then that's the bit done.
Okay. Mate, you're inspiring me. You're making me want to be fit.
My back's gone. No, my back's gone. Right. I'm going to have to knock that on the head. All right,
Down
so
he
we've
comes.
got another guest episode today.
Really looking forward to this one. Obviously, one of your guests, James. I've literally just spoken with him for a few minutes before the show. But yeah, you speak highly of Martyn.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a great episode.
Amazing guy. He's a machine. And he's one of our trainers as well. So, I wanted to bring Martyn on the show. One, to talk about when grunting's acceptable in a gym, which we'll go through his opinion on that. But then also the relation between physical well-being and mental well-being. Martyn does a lot of training for us surrounding physical and mental well-being, and has got some great advice. But also wanted to talk to him about the injuries he sustained last year and the effect that had on him personally and within a working environment. So I think without further ado, let's welcome in Martyn Pace.
Welcome, Martyn.
Hello, how are you doing, guys? Thank you for having me.
There it is. Cut it. Awesome. Welcome, Martyn.
Thank you. Hello. How are you doing?
Very well. Very well. I've got a stitch.
I'm
Not too
slightly
tired,
sweaty.
I hope.
Got some just a glisten of sweat over my brow. But no, thanks for joining us, Martyn. Wanted to basically speak to you about the work that you do. And I think as an intro, what is it you usually say, Dave?
I usually say something along the lines, Martyn, of if you can just introduce who you are, what you do, and how you make your clients' lives better.
Ooh. So my name is Martyn Pace. I'm a personal trainer and online coach, as well as a employee wellbeing coach. And I make my clients' lives better by giving them the tools to not only reach their short-term goals, but get fitter and healthier for the rest of their lives.
Well,
I mean, that's
pretty strong.
Intro. That's a strong.
That's pretty strong.
I mean, we started talking not so long back, Martyn, about I've been on a journey of my own personal fitness this year. I'd started to let myself go and really wanted to get back on track, get into the fitness, get back into the gym, which I have been doing regularly. And one of the things that I forgot that infuriates me about the gym is is there any need for it?
Absolutely not. I'm going to be brutally honest. There is no one has the need to be making sounds like that in the gym. It's something that the gym that I used to work out in, a commercial gym, used to be a 2-floor gym, and our office was on the downstairs floor. And literally I could tell who was upstairs by the noises I could hear.
James.
And
I'm not a grunter.
It used to frustrate me so much. Because there's absolutely no need to it. And the average person, which I include myself in that category as well, like, we are not superhuman athletes like the likes of Eddie Hall, who was lifting half a ton off the floor. There's no warranty in terms of the grunts and the noises. It actually makes you weaker as well. So, without going too much into the science side of it, but
no, go for it. Please do.
If you're straining, if you're kind of pushing maximal effort, right? You want to be bracing your core. You want to be tensing your core, right? If you tense your core, you naturally hold your breath. You don't make a noise, right? You go silent. So anyone who's making a noise, physically grunting, they're actually weakening the core. So if you forcefully exhale air and you make a noise like that, which is what often most people do, right? The core goes weak, and that means their lift, whatever they're doing, whether they're doing a bicep curl, a bench press, a squat, whatever it is, they're actually going to be lessening the force that they can produce because their core is weaker. So actually, it's a detriment.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody in the gym instantly feels how cool they actually are, and they
See,
must be.
I don't like, because I was actually thinking about this yesterday when I was training. Obviously thinking about today's chat, and I made the slightest of noises. Right, it was like a like that, and I felt self-conscious. And I train on my own, right? So imagine if I was in the gym and there's people shouting and I don't know, God knows what.
There was one the other day. I think I sent you a video on it, and I will actually pull the facial expressions that they were doing. But it was quite a big lad, more stocky than turned, I would have said. And he was doing, the shoulder raise where you bring the wire up. I can't remember what machine it's called, but he was doing that. And he was cable machine. Thank you. Yeah. And he was literally going, and I was like, Jesus, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it was, and then I looked over afterwards and he started to shake and sort of like trundle off. And I thought, he must have been pushing on that. I looked, it was 2 up. I was like, what? So I basically just wandered over after he'd finished and went and did it myself with no strain or effort. What is that? Is that an enhancement?
To be fair, if you're lifting hardly any weight and you're making a noise, that to me straight away that'd be he's doing it for show. He's not actually putting in the effort. That's purely him making that noise to get attention. For whatever reason, he might personally want to do that. But yeah, I've done some heavy lifts before, and I don't think I've ever made a noise when I've done a truly maximal lift because I'm putting so much effort into the actual exercise that I don't have the ability to make a noise.
Yeah, like you say, when you're strengthening that core and pushing. Well, me and Dave started talking about it because obviously within karate, or karate, as some say, that you actually do make noises as you're going through. So, Dave, I'll let you speak more on this because you are obviously more seasoned in the world of karate than I am.
I was going to ask if anyone actually does say it like that.
I believe they do.
if that is exclusively you.
Well, my three boys do martial arts and they don't say karate.
Thank you. So 2-1 on that, James. So I train in martial arts and specifically karate, and we actually do have a form, obviously within karate, which is a ki. So people would think of it from films as in like a hiya or any of these sort of noises. But actually, when you train karate, you have a ki, which is a loud, it's a war cry, which is often within fighting, which would be kumite, or within kata, which is the choreographed movements of Kion, which are the basics of karate. Now, that is a loud, explosive, it's driven from the diaphragm, so it's not in the throat, it's not just how loud you can shout, it's a guttural, diaphragm-led noise, and that does and should be the moment of the most explosive part of your kata or of your strike or of your Kion. It should probably stabilize you. It should probably channel energy if we're moving into that slightly more sort of spiritual or energy from the ground coming through. That's what a ki is. Now, if you overuse it, it becomes redundant. But breathing is incredibly important in combat sports, obviously. You have to breathe properly, and ki is an extension of that, I guess.
Yeah, and I actually did a little bit of research before we came on here, and the only studies or sports where grunting is actually beneficial was martial arts.
That's interesting.
That was more about the neural drive. It was saying and the psychological effect of that force.
Yeah,
that's where it was coming from. But yeah, that was the only kind of scenario that from the studies that I was having a quick look at this morning, where the grunting actually did have a positive effect.
And it does improve your power because I mean we've all seen Dune, the film, haven't we? And those guns wouldn't have blown up anything if you didn't shout with it. Well, on that, actually, David, Martyn was doing some research this morning, and I've come up with a list that I want you to say yay or nay for acceptable grunting. A list of sports, Martyn.
I didn't sign this off. I didn't sign this off, and I've got no visibility of this, so I'm now slightly concerned.
Tennis.
I'd say yes, because it could actually be a put them off. So you might get a psychological advantage from that as well. So I'd say yes to tennis.
So tennis purely for psychological advantage. Fantastic.
Yeah, because if someone grunted at me, I'd be too busy laughing that I wouldn't be able to concentrate on the stroke.
True. I'm going to try that at the tennis courts later. Squash.
No, because it echoes.
Olympic curling.
No, definitely not.
No, okay, we'll scratch that one off. Horse riding.
Well, I imagine that's quite hard on the course, so yeah, you shouldn't be grunting on that one. No, you need to be.
Is that the jockey or the horse?
Archery.
Oh no, definitely not. No,
definitely not. No, okay,
definitely not. It would put you off if you move. If you grunt and move when the hour's released. That's it. You've had it.
I was thinking more about it, and it's like I don't think it's acceptable in tennis. You know, I've started playing a lot of tennis recently. I'm getting really into it because with my fitness journey, I'm not a person that can really run on a treadmill. And when I've lost most of the weight before, so I used to be close to 20 stone, and I do not carry weight well. It was literally moves, ripple, top of a muffin, and then 0 arse. But when I lost most of the weight before, that was playing football. And now I've got really into tennis and playing tennis because I watch tennis a lot. And it's always, I don't know why, but just like at the gym, when I was speaking to somebody about the grunting in the gym, they said, well, how does it affect you? It doesn't affect you. And I was like, but it does. It does affect me because it infuriates me. And sometimes when I was watching tennis and hearing them go, I was like, is that actually, do you need to do that? I'm playing tennis. I've not hit one shot where I've thought that my shot became better from allowing a scream to leave me. And so I wanted your opinion on it because it frustrates me.
Yeah, I mean, purely from I used to play tennis as a kid, and again, I'm like you. I don't think I ever grunted on a single shot. Like even when you serve and you got as much power as you can, I don't think there's ever any need to make a noise.
No. What about?
I think a lot of the time it's because people have little habits, don't they? They do it subconscious. I imagine a lot of people will do it without realizing they do it. I've had that before with clients here where they have grunted and I've said to them, what was that for? Like, why did you need to do that? And they said, I didn't even, what did I do? I didn't even hear it. And to them, they didn't make a noise because it just came out, if you like. So I do think sometimes it is something that maybe they did when they first started an exercise and it's just an innate habit they've learned. But most of the people in commercial gyms do it for wanting attention.
Wanting attention. So everybody that goes to my gym, I hope you're listening to the podcast and I hope you're listening to me bringing you specifically up and talking about your habits within the gym. Stop it off. Nobody's impressed.
Just going back to tennis, Martyn, I always think women's tennis has more prevalence of the sort of loud grunting. I mean, obviously it's prevalent in men's game as well, but I always think of some of the women tennis players that really, exasperate every shot.
Monica Seles, who used to do that back in the day.
Seles, I think Sharapova was a very loud one. And I think Sabalenka these days, modern game, I think she would be a good example of someone who's pretty loud. Again, you think this is just...
But she could have done that all she wanted. I wouldn't care if she was screaming.
Okay, might edit that out. But yes.
Agreed.
I concur.
But yeah, so again, you think that's just a psycho...
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not an elite tennis player. I was never that good. But I can't imagine why you would ever need to make a noise. I mean, yes, you put in effort in, but like I said, I've done maximal effort. I used to play rugby. I've done heavy deadlifting. I mean, Christ, I lifted nearly 300 kilos off the floor and I didn't make a single noise when I did it. Like I've never been in that situation where I'm putting maximum effort into a dynamic movement or a static movement and never had the urge to make a noise. So I don't know, just from my experience, both myself and with clients. I just don't
So,
think it's necessary.
and as we know that Djokovic is a regular listener of A Quick Brew, so take
Obviously.
note, Djokovic. Stop it
Obviously.
off.
Can I add a couple to the list? Darts. Is it appropriate to grunt in darts, specifically if you're in the pub?
I think that would be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Particularly after a
Good.
couple of
Yeah.
pints as well. The more, I think it becomes more socially acceptable the more pints you've had.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Snooker.
So,
Yeah.
can you imagine Ronnie O'Sullivan queuing up? Ah!
Yeah. Quiet, please. And then the player steps up. Yeah.
Well, anyway, enough of the silliness on grunting. I wanted to get that out there for those people that do go to the gym and grunt at the gym to make you realize how ridiculous you are. So thank you. We've accomplished that, I believe. But going on to your job, I'd like to speak to you, Martyn, because you teach about well-being, fitness, mental health, and well-being as well. How much of an effect did your injuries that you sustained last year have an effect on you personally, and of course for your business as well? And maybe for the advantage of the people that are listening and watching that don't know, take us through those injuries. I don't want to bring back any flashbacks or anything.
Yeah. PTSD.
Trauma.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had injuries throughout my life. Like I used to often get injured when I played rugby. So I've been riddled with injuries, if you like, for the last 10, 15, 20 years. But the injuries I had last year specifically was I did a 24-hour burpee world record attempt 2-3 years ago. And during the training for that, I damaged my knee basically just from overuse. Nothing in particular, but it was just an overuse injury. And I battled through it for the challenge, and then afterwards, I lived with it for about a year, and it was getting to the point where I couldn't sit down without a weird angle. I couldn't kneel on my knees. I thought, like, I'm not even 40, and I'm struggling to sit on the floor with my kids. I need to get this sorted out. So I booked myself privately in for a knee op. So I had cartilage reconstruction. That was the first injury. So I basically had a big crack right down the middle of my cartilage. But they said, because of your age, we'll stitch it together rather than remove it. So it was a full repair. And then, so I had that in start of September. I think it was September 11th. And then I was in a knee brace for 6 weeks. And on the last day, literally the day before I was going in to get my brace taken off, I snapped my bicep because, like any PT would do, you carry on training when you got a knee brace, but obviously I just did light, and I genuinely was. My wife doesn't believe me, but I was genuinely taking it easy. And I just used to do a little bit of upper body stuff every single day. So very, very simple exercises because obviously I couldn't get into certain positions because of my brace. And I took it easy. And then it was one of those where I had an extra 5 minutes, so I said to myself, I'll just do one extra set of bicep curls. So I'd finished my workout, one extra set on the very last rep of that exercise. Yeah, my bicep snapped. So
I think we should just clarify as well. So my light's around about 8 kilos or 10 kilos when I'm doing a light day. Martyn's light is a metric ton.
no, it was 15 kilos. It was a 15 kilo dumbbell, which, yeah, for me, not being big, it isn't particularly heavy.
No.
And yeah, it just big pop, snapped it. And yeah, that was, I've torn my pec before, but the bicep was the most kind of dramatic feeling I've had from an injury. And yeah, so they were the two injuries. So I literally came out my brace on the Thursday, and then I was back in surgery the following Friday to have my bicep reattached. And then that was another 8 weeks of being in a sling and dressing for my elbow. So I had pretty much 14 weeks of from the first op to the second op, it being like having full movement again. And I've had lots of injuries, but this was the first time in my life where I genuinely started to affect me mentally. And I think it was probably the prolonged duration. I think if I just had the knee brace, I could have coped with that. Or if I just had the bicep, I could have coped with that. But the duration between it, like, it killed me mentally because it was more the effect I had at home. If I'm going to be honest, like, I didn't miss the training. I'm happy not train. I don't need to train. I enjoy it. Obviously, it's my job. I do personally enjoy it. But it was the fact that I couldn't take the kids to school. I couldn't do any of the after school to swimming or to martial arts or to football, everything went straight onto Helen. She had to do everything for me, basically. I couldn't put the kids to bed for the first few days with either injury, because I couldn't kneel on the floor to get to the kids' bed. I couldn't hold them. I couldn't pick them up with my bicep. And that kind of really frustrated me. And I felt like I was putting a lot of strain onto her. I couldn't be there for my kids in the way that I wanted to be. Little things like, "Oh, Daddy, can I go play in the garden?" "Well, no, Daddy can't. You got to wait for Mummy. I can't do that with you." And little things like that really started to put me down. And then with work, thankfully, I mean, if any of my clients are watching this, I'm so thankful for my clients, because I couldn't drive, obviously, with my knee brace, because it was my left leg, so it was my clutch leg. And then with my bicep, obviously, you can't steer. So I literally couldn't drive for 14 weeks. But thankfully, my clients used to bring me into work. So
Wow.
That's
my first
amazing.
client of the day, my 6 o'clock client, whoever it was, would pick me up at 5:45 in the morning. And then my last client of the day would drop me off. So I'd still get a full day of clients in. So financially, as my work, didn't cost me anything,
Wasn't affected. Yeah,
thankfully.
thankfully. I mean, that must be a testament to the work that you do. I mean, I know from our training sessions and the reports that we get back from clients on the sessions that you deliver for us, you're very, very well regarded, and that they love your sessions. I mean, and that the fact that your clients were willing to pick you up to take you into work to continue with the session, that's, as
Yeah.
we all know, people that generally try to get fit, your January people that start going to the gym, that any excuse that can possibly come up, it's usually used. "I'll do it tomorrow." Because I've always been a
Yeah.
person that's the hardest thing about like working out and the hardest thing about training is turning up, in my opinion. Once you're there and once
Yeah.
you're in the space. But the fact that your clients were actually willing to pick you up to continue with those sessions is a testament to the work that you must do.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I'm so thankful for all of them who brought me into work, and because I still had that day to day regular routine. From a mental perspective at work, it didn't really affect me because I was still showing up. I was still doing my normal day to day stuff. I could still do all my jobs because I've got my own I've got my own PT studio, so I wasn't having to um, work around other staff or have members of the public around me. I'm with a client one on one, so my kind of the layout of my gym is a lot more accessible. So even though I couldn't do the exercises with them, I could tailor this session around what I've got here. Um, so yeah, from a mental perspective at work, didn't affect me. Um, Personally, from my own training, it only started to affect me towards the end of the 14 weeks, if I'm going to be honest. And that was pure boredom. Nothing because of I don't know, it was getting me down. It's more boredom. I wanted to just do something. The
Yeah,
biggest effect was the impact it had on the family life. That
family.
that made me feel guilty and made me feel like I couldn't be the dad that I wanted to be.
I mean, it's probably good that it didn't affect the work that you were doing because obviously you felt like you had use. If it affected your work as well as you're saying you were feeling useless at home. If you'd have felt the same
Mm.
within a working space, it could have been a whole different story, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't have a purpose, I think that was a great word that you used there. If I didn't have purpose in my day to day, yeah, I'd have been miserable.
Mm.
But because I could still give value, I could still do what I'm being paid to do. I still felt like I was giving my normal service. So yeah, it didn't really affect me in that respect.
Lumina proudly sponsors the Quick Brew podcast. Lumina is your AI conversation coach, helping leaders manage difficult conversations successfully. Practice in a safe environment without fear of judgment. If you want to hear more information about Lumina and practicing conversations that count, go to wellityglobal.com/meet-lumina and use offer code BREW10.
So without being insensitive, Martyn, did you ever get to do the burpee challenge? Because I was quite interested by this idea of a.
Yeah, no, I did it. I did do 24 hours.
Did
I
you?
did 24 hours. It was December 2023, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah, I did. I didn't do the world record. I failed on that
Oh,
respect,
mate.
but I still did. I still did 24 hours.
Amazing.
Basically, long story short, I trained for it for about 9 months, and throughout that 9 months, I did kind of multiple test events to see how I was progressing. And I did a 4 hour test, an 8 hour test, and a 12 hour test. And for the 12 hour test, I actually did more than I needed to have done. after 12 hours, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I'd perform, so I was absolutely smashing it. I was on track to beat the world record. Like genuinely, from all the data shows that my heart rate was fine, my volume of numbers were fine, I felt fine. And then the week before the challenge, I got a chest infection. I was on antibiotics.
Oh no.
But because
Terrible.
the way you submit a challenge to Guinness, it's got to be you specify a date and you've got to do it on that date. I had people, I had to get judges and cameramen to come in and film it all. So I had too many moving parts that I couldn't delay it and move it to another day when I was off the antibiotics. I just had to do it. And it was kind of one of those where I said, well, see how far I get. And then I think I got 5 hours in and I started like hallucinating. I couldn't see anything. I was like, everything was just blurry. Couldn't cool down. So I had a bucket of ice literally putting on my head. And I just kept saying, I'm overheated. I can't cool down. I can't cool down. So I had to have multiple pauses and stops just to keep going for the 24 hours. Otherwise, I probably would have been in hospital if I didn't. So yeah, I think I did some
unbelievable.
I think 5,000 or something burpees in the 24 hours, but in 12 hours, I did 7. So like I did more in 12 hours than I did in 24, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play to you for actually still doing it with a chest infection. You know, it's like,
Incredible.
I don't think I could last 24 seconds doing burpees normally, let alone with a
24-second challenge.
Yeah.
Probably
the sound of
not.
It probably take me 24 seconds to do one.
Yeah, I remember a number of years ago, Martyn, probably going back 6 or 7 years or so ago. I don't know if you know this guy at all. A guy called Dan Osmond. He's local to where we are in Essex, specifically Southend, and he was doing at that time a sponsored sledge pull stroke push. So I think it was a 100k sledge on Southend seafront for 24 hours. And
wow.
And I remember being a sponsor of his, and I think he was campaigning for Calm, so campaign against Live Miserably. And you know it's ambitious. Like when you turn up, because I was there at the start and visited him a few times through the event, and at the end, you know it's ambitious. You know it's going to be tough. But I think until you're actually in the event itself, you don't realize how really brutal it is. And I remember at the end, his eyes were, all the blood vessels in his eyes had burst. So his eyes were red just because he's pushing 100k up and down, up and down, up and down. And look, Southend Seafront isn't exactly a racetrack. I mean, this thing's got a few bumps in it, so every one of those will have felt worse as those hours ultimately went on to the whole day. But yeah, anyone that's ever done an extreme challenge like that, and for yourself burpees on a chest infection,
incredible. The only thing as well is mentally, physically, I wasn't in a great place either at the time because obviously I was unwell. But the week before, one of my mates messaged me and said, "Have you seen this guy's doing exactly what you're doing the night before?" So the night before my challenge, right? There was a guy in Bradford or Leeds or something like that who was doing exactly the same challenge, going for the exact same world record. So the night before, I couldn't sleep because I was watching his live stream, worrying about, well, if he changes the world record, then I'm going to have to change entirely my structure and kind of approach to it. So yeah, like mentally, I wasn't. I mean, I could throw all the excuses around that reason why I didn't do it. But
I think chest infections are quite
yes,
adequate. Do you know,
Pretty strong.
was training for the London Marathon to do it for Havens Hospices. And this is not so long ago, I'll tell you in a minute. But doing loads of training, did 10 months of training. Like I've discussed to you, I'm not much of a runner. I don't find it very interesting. That's why I try to find sports for cardio. But got up to the 23-mile mark. And that was in February 2020. I never got to run it because the London Marathon was cancelled due to COVID.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I was absolutely gutted about that. Absolutely gutted. But
I'm guessing you've not gone back to it.
No, I mean, the pain and torture that I went through for actually training for it, like the shin splints, I had really dodgy knees and my calves. There were times where I'd be like having sort of, when you get that leg, there's like a seizure in the leg and your leg starts twitching and I literally went through blood, sweat and tears to get up to the 23-mile mark to actually go and do it. And like anything, I will always pour 100% in. 110%. I'll pour everything into doing it. And so I was determined to ensure that I was going to do this marathon. It wasn't something that I was just going to throw out there and not actually do. I wanted to do it for Havens Hospices, so I poured everything into it, and it was literally blood, sweat, and tears. My feet feeling like Frodo Baggins after they'd swollen up in a train for 20 odd miles. And I was that gutted that I didn't get to do it, and remembering all of the pain that I went through to get there, that I never re-entered. I should have done. But yeah, it was too much pain for me to put myself through again, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, I think when you get, disappointments are obviously good because that's what we learn, that's how we develop, that's how we improve. But I think we've got to be in the right mindset to use them positively, because I think
Yeah.
if we're not quite ready to accept that failure or that disappointment, then that can, it can just lead to further disappointments, unfortunately.
So
Mm.
one thing I wanted to could move on to as well, Martyn, is the link between mental well-being and physical well-being. Let's chat about that.
Yeah. So obviously, from your line of work that the mental health, unfortunately, of the nation is getting worse. There are so many percentages of that are on the rise, of demographics that are increasing in mental health problems, depression, anxiety, stress, all those are going through the roof, right? Yet exercise has been proven time and time again to be almost, if not better, treatment of the symptoms than any medication you can give, right?
Yeah.
I think I've actually got a stat here that 31% reduction in symptoms from exercise of
Wow.
depression. Okay.
Wow.
17 to 21% of risk of developing depression, not even symptoms, but developing it in the first place, just simply from exercising. Like the correlation between the two is just so profound that I cannot believe that the government, the NHS, whoever the powers may be, haven't enforced exercise more when it comes to mental health, because it's just so powerful, right?
Mm.
Like on a physiological level, it's
So many excuses to not do it as well, isn't there? And you can. This is coming from a
yeah,
person that knows. I've always fluctuated with my weight. I always overindulge at some stage. Do I get down about it? Yes. Do I feel worse in my own mental health when I'm at my bigger stages? Yes. But I'm always quite a driven person. I always go, no, look, right, enough's enough. And I'll change it again
yeah,
and get back into a healthier state. And I've been, like I've said before, close to 20 stone, and I'm only 5'10", and it's literally Flab City when I put
Can
on
we
weight.
do can we do a fact check on that 5'10", James? Can we do a fact check on that?
Of course we can. Of course we
Yeah,
can.
okay.
5'10" and a peanut.
And I'll get a tape measure if you like.
What,
But
your own tape measure?
no, it's not my. I'll get an official tape measure. I'll unbox it. But yeah, so I don't carry weight well, and it's difficult. Yeah, when you first start training again, when you're actually getting into that rhythm, but that repetitive process of always showing up and keep going, even if because I think a lot of people get tied up in the goals that they set themselves, and this is something that I realized as I was doing it, that right, I'm going to lose a stone in a month, or something ridiculous like, yeah, well, I'll get 3 stone dropped by the end of the month, and when they don't hit that target, they sort of go, oh well, what's the point then? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
Yeah.
any
yeah.
form of progress is progress. Do you know? And it's
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, a lot of people are focused on trying to do too much. Like you don't need to do a lot to see much difference, right? Now,
Yeah.
if you do no exercise whatsoever, you're going to see quite profound improvements simply by going for a walk,
yeah,
right? And you can start with 10 minutes. If you do nothing and you suddenly do 10 minutes, well, that's 10 minutes more than what you were doing. That's a big improvement. You do that for a few weeks and you go to 20 minutes. That's an even bigger improvement. What people try to do is they literally try to run before they can walk. They think,
mm,
well, the studies show that 5 times a week of 45 minutes is the best way of doing it, blah, blah, blah. Well, so they go straight to that. Well, if you've gone from 0 minutes to
0.
suddenly 5 times 45, no wonder you're going to give up after after 2 weeks, sorry. Your body's not going to be able to cope with that demand, that intensity,
Yeah.
that frequency. So you've got to start small. But people they get too kind of adventurous of, like you say, I want to lose a stone in a month. Well, why don't you just focus on what you got to do to lose a stone before you start focusing on the numbers? Like, it's something with my clients, I actually don't set weight targets or anything particularly based on a metric, because that doesn't, I could say I want to lose 5 stone in 2 years or 10 stone in 2, or build muscle, whatever the number might be. But if I don't do the things that are going to result in that, then what's the point of me even setting that target in the first place? Like, it's the habits that change your results, not the focusing on the number. And that's what people
Yeah.
get too kind of tied in on. They think that if they think of losing a stone, they're going to lose a stone. Well, are you doing the things you need to do to lose a stone in the first place? That's the
Have you read
question.
Atomic Habits at all, Martyn?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay, so
It's a very,
that
very, very good
touches,
book.
obviously you referencing that these small habits that create positive long-term change. You can't shortcut to the finishing line, can you?
No, exactly. No, and yes, you might be able to shortcut for 3-4 weeks, but it's going to catch
not
up on
sustainable.
you. You're going to get to a point where you cannot continue with that because it's too much of a change from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Your body and your mindset and your lifestyle. Because the thing as well is, losing weight, getting fit, building muscle, whatever the goal might be, it takes some form of sacrifice, right?
Of course it does.
In some way, shape, or form. If you're trying to lose weight, you're going to have to eat less. That's going to change your meal habits with your family, with your friends, with your social life, right? That's a sacrifice. If you're trying to get fitter, whether it's a marathon, you're going to have to take more time to train. That's going to have an effect on your social life, on your ability to go and do things with your family and your friends. If you want to build muscle, that's going to take in terms of effort and intensity. So that potentially could cause injuries. There's a sacrifice, some way, shape, or form, right? So if you do everything all at one go, that's a lot of sacrifices for your lifestyle to adapt to. And we've got jobs, we've got families, we've got income we've got to look after. How are we going to cope with all that? And then on top of that, we've got those sacrifices we've got to make. Like, it's all about starting small. You need to think of one thing that you can do. Like you said, David, from Atomic Habits, one thing for 2 or 3 weeks, focus on that, get that ticked off. Then you add a second thing in, stack the small habits week to week. And then suddenly after 6 months, you're like, bloody hell, I've achieved loads and I've only done one thing at a time. Whereas if you try and do all those things in one go, you know where you're going to last 6 months.
There's a reason that you become unfit or out of shape, or you've lacked discipline presumably at some point. So then to try and take it all on board, all on day one, it's not sustainable, is it? It can't be.
No,
It's like with the training that I'm doing at the minute. I was always happy with. I think it's about setting that realistic result that you want as well, and what it's going to take to get there. Like we were just discussing. I knew that. Yeah, I'll go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. I'm an early riser anyway. I will do weights and I will do sessions, but without ego, making sure that my form's correct. And I had no plans of changing my physique and my health and my well-being overnight. I'd said to myself, look, in 18 months, if I'm looking better, brilliant. I'm happy with that. So yes, I'm not going there. And if I'm starting on 12s on the chest presses on the free weights, I'm not saying right next time I need to do 14s, next I need to do 16s, next I need to do 18s. I'm happy with that slow, gradual process, and I'm seeing the results. I'm seeing the changes in my body shape from what it was before. And so I think it's also about setting those realistic expectations, and especially with men, dropping your ego.
yeah.
With you'll be a full testament for form over weight, won't you, Martyn?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think social media's got a big, unfortunate negative part to play in this. Most things we see on social media in relation to gym and performance, strength, that kind of side of things. Most athletes are enhanced. Most people who, even if they say they're not enhanced, they're enhanced. Okay. They've got sponsorship deals. They've got to look after this. So they're going to say to the blue in the face, I don't take performance enhancing drugs. Yes, you do.
Yes,
You can't look like the way you do without them. Okay. And that's a lot of people. So a lot of my clients are into CrossFit and high rocks. Most of those will be enhanced. Whether they say it or not, they will be. And then you've got the physique athletes. I want to look like that person on the front cover of Men's Health. Well, chances are they take drugs, right?
Yeah,
You don't get to that level without
photoshopping.
Photoshopping as well. Lifts. So people lifting 200, 300 kilos, right? And then you're forgetting, well, do you know what their lifestyle is? Do you know how many grams of testosterone they pump into the body to be able to lift that weight? You're never going to lift that weight. You shouldn't even consider trying to lift that weight. Focus on quality. get strong doing it correctly, and just focus on getting your numbers stronger rather than trying to compare yourself to someone else who might have been doing it for 20, 30 years, be drugged up to the eyeballs, and not actually have a family life.
Yeah.
And I used to admit, I used to do this when I was younger. I used to see young kids. I mean, I say young kids, I'm nearly 40 now. So anyone at 30 is young to me. But like 18, 20-year-olds. And I'd look at them and think, God, I want to be able to be as strong and fit as them. And like, yeah, but I'm not. I never will be now because I'm 40. Right? My body isn't going to be able to do what they can. And similarly, when I was 18 to 20, I'd look at 30, 40-year-olds and think, I want to be as strong as them. Well, they've been doing it for 20 years. Like the comparative scale that you've got to look
Yeah.
at things with is one of the biggest reasons why people don't achieve anything, because they're looking at the wrong comparisons. The only comparison you should look at is yourself. Are
And
you
everyone's
improving? Are you
after,
doing that a little bit more? Are you doing a little bit better? Okay, than you were this
yeah.
time 2 months ago. If you are, crack on, brilliant, well done.
Yeah.
And everyone's after instant gratification, aren't they, in this world? Particularly, you mentioned
Yeah.
social media. They see it, they want it, but it's not a case of, I'll dedicate myself to it for the next 5 years, 10 years. They
No,
want it
they'll look
now.
at any supplement that they can take. You know, it's that's what frustrates me about the whole like Moonjaro or there's for real fitness, in my opinion, and knowing this from my own personal battles with fluctuating, and I'll probably do it again because I love food. I love a nice glass of wine. I will probably put weight on, but I'll lose it again. There's no quick fix to it. It's dedication.
No.
It's about setting realistic goals, and it's about being consistent.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a conversation this morning with a client about it because I get this all the time. I get told, "Yeah, but it's easy for you. You're a PT." Well, it doesn't just being because I'm a PT doesn't make me have superpowers. Like, it doesn't mean I build muscle faster or lose fat quicker. It just means I've been doing this for longer and doing it correctly more than you. So yes, I might get better results, but that's because I know what I'm doing and I'm consistent with it. It's not because I'm a PT. Like, I
Yeah,
wasn't born superhero because I'm a PT. Like, it's
yeah.
just madness.
I know.
How is the world of PTs at the moment, Martin? Because we were speaking to a former guest about AI and the challenges that a lot of professions have. He mentioned, which I've seen as well, a training mirror that analyzes your form, encourages you, gives you, real time feedback. I mean, surely people would rather a real PT in their corner, pushing them and advising them and supporting them, wouldn't they? Rather than a
100.
faceless mirror that's just touting noise.
I personally aren't worried about it. I
Good.
mean, I get asked quite a lot. Do you think that I'm going to lose clients to AI? If anything, I'm getting more clients nowadays than I was before, and that's because people are realizing that AI is never going to replace a human coach.
Yeah.
Because there's things that I can see in someone's technique that AI will never be able to see. Even if
Mm.
you had a video camera and you had a screen and all that fancy equipment, they're never going to pick up on the minutiae of how someone performs a technique. Like, can a mirror tell whether someone's bracing or not? Can a mirror tell whether or not they're actually using the forearms to grip a weight or whether they're just holding it? Like, there's so many intricacies to exercise that it isn't just a case of, well, I've done this correctly, so I'm going to get results. Well,
Would it
if it was
challenge a
that
grunt?
simple, if it was
It'll,
I wonder if they have a grunting like a toggle, yes or no, on those mirrors.
A tolerance level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've gone too
So
far.
no,
You've gone too far
I
now.
don't think it's ever going to be a problem because it's just it's
Good.
not personal. You can type in all the cues you want into AI and give it the backstory of a lifetime, and it's still never going to give you the most appropriate plan. It's just
Yeah.
can't replace human interaction.
completely agree with that.
Awesome.
Completely agree with that. So, look, this has been an awesome episode. Thank you so much for coming on, Martin. We've obviously got a
That's
couple
all
of
right,
things
thank you.
left that we'd like you to do. Book recommendation for us.
Yeah, so I read this during the Burpee challenge to kind of get my head into the mindset of experiencing pain and being okay with pain. Because tell you what, 24 hours of burpees bloody hurts, right? And it was the Ross Edgley book, The Art of Resilience.
Okay.
And obviously he's done his swimming around Great Britain. He's ran a marathon carrying a log on his back. Like, he's one of these kind of athletes that I put on a pedestal, rightly and wrongly. That once you've been through pain, you realize that what you think is painful actually isn't. Like, I used to think I trained hard and then I did 24 hours of burpees. And then I'm like, God, I didn't even touch the surface of what I
Mm.
thought was hard. And it's that ability that once you have experienced something that takes your body through to absolute physical failure, where you are collapsing, where you are physically, you're having negative health effects. I was going blind. I couldn't breathe. I was overheating. I was on the edge of physical exhaustion. Then when I'm in the gym and I'm thinking, oh, I'm working really hard here, I can draw back on that experience. And that's what his book taught me, because obviously through all these different challenges, that the art of resilience is that it's the most powerful weapon you can have. But if you can draw upon those bad experiences, well, that physically hurt, then that opens up the next level to whatever it is, whether it's business, whether it's personal suffering, whether it's in the gym, whatever it might be. If you've experienced the kind of the awful shit parts, then you know that it's going to be even easier when you get to the next level. So yeah, there's lots of good anecdotes and stories you can take from his journey. I actually got a quote that I wrote down from his book. The most powerful weapon any athlete can possess is a resolute refusal to quit.
Love that.
So
And
I
it's,
think,
Love that.
you know, it's something for me that the world needs a lot more of, is resilience and training within resilience, because,
people
you
want
know,
an easy life. Like,
and we see stress.
something I empower to all my clients is, if you want an easy life, so if you do the easy things, you'll have a hard life. But if you do the hard things, you're going to have an easy life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
The resilience thing as well, James, just applying it to what we've done throughout our careers, sales. I've always loved recruiting salespeople who are sports people, because I consider sports people often very resilient. So if they plug into that book, well, I mean, that's then a superpower, isn't it? I think that's a great
100%.
recommendation. I love
Great
that, Martyn.
recommendation. And
It almost feels like we've had the golden nugget, but I feel like there's more here. So can you indulge us with just a little bit more wisdom and something that might be a great takeaway for our audience?
I've said it already, but whatever goal you want to achieve, focus on the actions and the habits you need to do to get there. Don't focus on the goal. Okay. Don't focus on the actual end result. Focus on the journey. What's the first thing you've got to do? If you want to be a millionaire, well, you got to get £1 first, right? There's no point me thinking about getting £1,000. Go get that first pound first. Then what do I need to do to get to £2? Okay. If you want to own your own business, well, what's the first step I've got to do? Forget about where you've got to be in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, but what do I need to do now? Because
register.
So many people, and again, it applies to every aspect of your life, whether it's fitness, financial, career-driven, family life, whatever. Too many people deliberate and kind of procrastinate on that first step. Well, I want to get to this stage. Well, okay. Well, are you doing anything about it now? No. Well, do something. Well, just get started. Focus on that first habit. What is it you've got to do? Because if you can master that, then you can go on to habit 2. Then it starts to build, and then the results start to come thick and fast, because you're not only just done one thing, you've done 3 or 4 things.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing I would say, is just focus on the behaviors and the habits rather than the end result.
The end result. No, that's great advice. Well, what an episode,
strong.
David.
Loved it. Absolutely. And I wish we could speak for longer, to be honest, because I love that. And I really appreciate your time, Martyn.
No,
and yeah, I think you've brought something
me.
to the pod that we haven't had before. So spot on, mate. Thank you very much.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Martyn.
Thank you. Cheers,
Thank you.
guys.
Well, what an episode, and what some sound advice. You know, I've had a lot of respect and admiration for Martyn, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to bring him on at Wellity to help deliver our sessions. You know, he's got great advice. He's so down to earth, and he's so honest in his approach to well-being, whether that be physical or mental well-being. So what an episode, and what a guy.
I bet his sessions are absolutely awesome. I think I'd love to be a part of one of those, actually, because
100%.
yeah, the saying also about taking advice from someone who's been there and done it. Like, we speak about books and self-help, and you know, everyone's got a channel now with the internet or social media that lets them tout to the world. But clearly, you know, his is lived experience that he's sharing, and you can't beat it,
100%.
can you?
No, definitely not. But that wraps up another great episode, buddy. Cheers.
Cheers, James Grunt-Power Sharples. It's been a pleasure as always. And yeah, on to the next one.
On to the next.